Okay. 2.0. Welcome, Hare Krishna Valley.com.au. So, what we were doing just then is called Kirtan. Kirtan literally means to glorify. So, the mantra we were chanting primarily, which is the Hare Krishna mantra, you might have seen us chanting somewhere in the world on the streets, the Hare Krishna mantra. It's called Kirtan. Then it's glorifying the Supreme Personality, who we call Krishna. So the word Rama and Krishna are names of the Supreme Personality. And Hare, we say Hare Krishna. If you look on the back wall, you'll see the picture of Radha and Krishna. So Hare represents the feminine aspect of the divine, the Supreme Goddess, whose name is Radha. And when we chant, then Hare, we say the feminine, because you always approach the feminine before the masculine, because the feminine is softer. And then she, just like your mother, she's softer than your father generally. So your mother will let you off on certain things, where the father may be stricter. So we first approach Radha, we say Hare, and then we say Krishna and Rama. So when we're chanting pure spiritual names of the Supreme. And then when you chant those pure spiritual names, it purifies your consciousness. So if you're chanting on a regular basis like we do 2 hours of that mantra every day, then it purifies the consciousness and it uplifts you to a higher state of consciousness and you feel very blissful. Were you feeling blissful while you were chanting? Anyone?
Yep.
Yeah, one lady at the front, thank you. You get a free dessert. So some of you are feeling blissful, so that's the nature of the chanting. And actually, the chanting is said to be the remedy for the problems in the world. If we get more people to chant, the problems will go away. Just like at the United Nations, they meet all the time and they're trying to fix the world problems, but we're seeing actually the world problems are getting worse, even though they're sincerely trying to fix things. So what we recommend is everyone in the United Nations, they get together and they chant Hare Krishna, put your hands in the air, and you just chant Hare Krishna, and you'll feel blissful and you'll feel spiritually elevated, and then you'll be able to make the right decisions for humanity, because it will give you clarity of consciousness. We also recommend it for the American Republican and Democratic Party. They begin to chant more. We've sent emails this morning requesting Donald Trump to begin chanting. He hasn't got back to us as yet, but we'll keep you all updated about that. And for the Australian Parliament as well, everyone chant. Our motto is chant and be happy. And Prabhupada, who was the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he brought the Hare Krishna movement to the West in 1965, and he spread this chanting all around the world within 11 years while he was with us on the planet. Prabhupada, that was one of his mottos. He said, chant and be happy. He said, just try it. And then you can try it in your own home. You can just dance around your kitchen table, put your arms in the air, just dance around, do some chanting. If it doesn't work, he said, you didn't lose anything. And if it did work, then you'll become purified at heart and you'll uplift your consciousness to a divine state and you'll unite with the Supreme Being himself and you'll feel happy and peaceful. So we first purchased this property in 1987. Some of you are here for the first time. So in 1987, who's out there?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to maybe just ask them to politely, if they could just tone it down a touch? I don't mind if the windows are open, but maybe not. Otherwise it becomes a little distracting. In 1987 we bought this property. Previous to this, we had a farm near Mildura, which was 20,000 acres. So it was a big property up near Mildura on the bank of the Murray River. We had 20,000 acres. But it was too far away. If you wanted to come and visit today for the open day, it would take you 7 hours to get there and 7 hours to get back. And, it was okay for the people in Renmark and Mildura, but for the rest of Victoria. So we relocated in 1987. We bought this farm, which is 200 acres, which is surrounded by state forest on 3 sides. Very beautiful property, quite a nice property. Maybe not as good as Moolumbar or Byron Bay. We have another property, which some of our friends... Have you been there? Some of our friends are trying to get there. So... we have another property up near Byron Bay, 800 acres, which is a beautiful, beautiful property. Most beautiful property in Australia, really. And in 1987 we bought this property and we began to develop a community. And this building that we're in now was a school. We had a Hare Krishna primary school, which ran for about 7 years in the early 90s. And then in the mid-90s, the government were changing their legislation in country Victoria, and we lost our funding for our school one particular year. So the school closed. Most of the people here moved to the other community up at Wollongba. And then for about 10 years, there wasn't much going on here. There's only 1 or 2 people living here. And they were just kind of maintaining the property. And then myself and my good friend Mani Griva, who's just sitting there, we moved here about 15 years ago. He said, do you want to go down there? And I said, that sounds like a good idea. And we came down here 15 years ago, just the 2 of us with our families, to start a spiritual community. And we transformed when we got here. This was classrooms. This was a school, so there was all blackboards everywhere. And then we transferred and then transformed it into a retreat centre. And about an hour ago, we finished one of our retreats, Vedic astrology and yoga retreat, which many of our guests attended. And now we run open days and we do organic farming. We have an ahimsa dairy. The word ahimsa means non-violent. It's a Buddhist word as well. Ahimsa means non-violent. So we have an ahimsa dairy, which means the cows are born here and they die here, and there's no fear that they will be slaughtered. Which is rare in Australia actually. Most of the farm next door and everyone in this area, they just kill their animals. Which, what's that?
Except us.
Except you. Yeah, you and us. 2 farms in the whole of the area who champion the rights of the animals. So, it's one of the principles of our philosophy. When you drive in, you saw there were 12 signs along the road, and we asked you to pick up the qualities as you came. So what was the second sign? Does anyone remember? Now you get a free dessert if you can.
Compassion.
Compassion, very close, but not quite. Compassion's a little bit further down the road. Yeah, humility's first. Yep. That's number 3. Yeah, very close. So we'll give you a free drink.
Peacefulness.
Very good, very good. Peacefulness, like that. So peacefulness. Peacefulness means ahimsa, peaceful. You have to feel safe. We all want to feel safe, right? It's natural to feel safe. That's what this place is for. You can feel safe here. We won't eat you. And when we say it's going to be a feast, I mean it's not you. You're not on the menu, right? And we don't kill the animals either. They're not on the menu either. We have a feast, but there's no slaughter. There's no violence. When you take the life of a vegetable, like a carrot, the carrot doesn't have a nervous system. It doesn't feel pain. It does, but it's so minimal, right? So we're trying to minimize the violence as much as possible. The animals, they feel it. They have a nervous system. We feel it. So for us, like in the Bible it says, he who kills an ox is as if he who kills a man. It says that in the Bible, even though they eat meat in the Christian tradition. But actually it says in the Bible, if you kill an ox, it's the same as killing a human. And that's how we see it here at Hare Krishna Valley, right? We see if you kill an animal, it's the same as killing a human being, so we don't do it. So we teach the opposite. We teach how to love the animals. And after lunch, if you'd like to join us, you can come and meet our ahimsa cows. We have 26 cows and bulls who are very peaceful and very happy and very content. At least they were yesterday. We'll see what sort of mood they're in today. But they're very peaceful animals. And you can see there's a difference because they know they're living in harmony. They know they're living in a state of protection. And when you're like that, all the cells in your body, they generate in a very positive way, and you become very healthy and happy. And that's what they do. So that's the purpose of Hare Krishna Valley, to show an example of a positive alternative to what's going on in the modern world. If you had to use one word to describe the modern world, modern civilization, what word would you use?
Frenetic.
What's it?
Frenetic.
Frenetic. Yeah, that's a good word. Frenetic.
What does that mean?
Can someone please translate frenetic for us?
I would describe frenetic as like
Oh yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's frenetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look in the thesaurus, the definition of frenetic, it says that's frenetic. Like that. You know what we mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good. So it's frenetic. Yeah, it's a good word. Are there any other words? One word to describe.
Exploiting.
Exploitive. Yeah, very good. That's a very good word. So, yeah, everyone's trying to exploit each other. Yeah. The American Indians say about their tribes, because they always lived in tribes, they said, never make a decision which will negatively impact 7 generations of your tribe. And here on earth now we're making decisions which impact the first generation. You know, imagine what it's going to be like in 7 generations for people. You know, even this generation. Last week we had the hottest day on earth in history. The hottest day in history. Here it was about 14 or something, so we didn't feel it. But if you took the global temperatures, it was the hottest day in history. Things are heating up, which is not good for the planet. And everyone talks about, you know, changing it slowly. It's not going to actually change because people are not willing to do what it takes to change. The changes would have to be radical, and people aren't willing to do that. So actually, climate change is going to continue. It might slow down, but it's not going to stop. So that's some good news for you all. But that's the way the world is, because people are making the wrong decisions. It's exploitive. That's the mentality. Like that. So any other word? One word to describe modern civilization.
Kaya.
What's that?
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, crazy. So why do we have these words describing modern civilization? What are the words we should be using?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Right? What else?
Cooperation.
Cooperative. Yeah, very good. Very good. What else?
Compassionate.
Happy. Happy. That's a good one. What's wrong with happiness? No? So that's what we want to show here at Hare Krishna Valley. It should be peaceful, it should be cooperative, and it should be happy. And I think that's the experience we're getting. Is that how you feel? One lady down the back, that's good. She's feeling happy and peaceful and cooperative. But the rest of you may not get fed for lunch. Unless you become a little bit more enthusiastic about what we're trying to do. Or maybe it's just not working. Maybe that's your feedback and we need to try harder. But we should be feeling like that. At least when you come here, you should come to a place where you actually feel like that. Right? It's happy, it's cooperative, and it's peaceful. We should be feeling this. So in order to get to that state of consciousness, you have to have a roadmap. It's like anything. If you want to get to a certain destination, you have to have a map how to get there. Right? You can't just freestyle. I mean, you can, but you may not get to your destination. Just like if you want to drive to Sydney, right? You need to have a GPS or a map, or you need some guideline. Like that. Otherwise, you might end up in Adelaide, right? Or Broome, or Darwin,
Or Murwillumbah.
or Murwillumbah. Yeah, but then you'd have to go through Sydney to get to Murwillumbah. So, in other words, you need guidance, and that's what we live by here. We have guidance. We have guidebooks like the Bhagavad Gita. Have you heard of Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, it's very well known. In India, that's kind of like the Bible. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it's like a guidebook, like how to live in such a way that you will attain peace, happiness, cooperation, harmony in your life, in your renunciation. So I thought I'd read a little bit from one of the verses in the Bhagavad Gita today, just to give you some insight into some of our philosophy. So this is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga. Does anyone know this word karma? Karma. Yeah. Does anyone know what it means, karma? Deeds. Yeah, it means activity. Yeah, very good. Deeds. Activity.
Actions.
Actions. Yeah, action. Activity. Yeah. Krishna says in the beginning of chapter 3, he says, you cannot stop doing anything even for a moment. Right? We'll have a competition. Everyone stop doing everything for 1 minute. You blinked. It's not possible. Right? Everyone's thinking, what are we doing? When's this going to stop? How long is 1 minute? Why is this guy telling us to do this? Can I actually stop thinking? Or I stopped thinking. Did I stop thinking? It's not possible to stop doing something. You have to do something all the time. That's activity. The nature of the soul is to be active. So Karma Yoga in this 3rd chapter, Krishna teaches us how to be active, but make your karma yoga. Right? You know this word yoga? What does yoga mean? Anyone knows the meaning? Yoga? You hear the word all the time, yoga. What does it actually mean?
Connect.
To connect. Very good. Yeah, it means union. Yoga. Yoke. Just like if you have a horse, you yoke the horse. What connects you to the horse? Right? The reins, the yoke. There's a connection. So yoga means connecting us to Krishna, to God, to something higher. So karma yoga means you're doing your work, but you're doing it something higher. Just like you saw Manigriva was doing something then behind the screen. So some of you may have been wondering what he was doing. So what he was doing was karma yoga. Karma means activity. So he just cooked lunch for everyone, right? For all of us who are here. How many people are here? 40, 50 people or something. So he just cooked for everyone with the help of his friends. So that's karma, that's activity. But then he made it karma yoga, because what he did, he got everything that he cooked, he put it on a plate in separate bowls, and then he brought it before pictures of God, pictures of Krishna, and then he meditated and offered prayers to offer it to Krishna, and then God himself tastes it, he accepts the bhakti or the devotion in the offering, and he blesses it, and then it becomes spiritual food. That's why sometimes people say Hare Krishna food tastes different. Huh? Does anyone notice that? Okay. Oh, one person in the back. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna food tastes different. Why does it taste different? Because the consciousness is different when we're cooking it. It's done in the spirit of devotion. We never taste the food until we've offered it first to Krishna, to God. We never taste it. It's something unique in our kitchen. If you go all over the world, chefs are always tasting the food. When we run cooking retreats, the first thing we tell everyone is don't taste the food. Everyone always puts their finger in. You know, how does that do? We never taste it. And you see today, you'll see lunch, it'll taste delicious, right? And money hasn't tasted any of it. Because we want the first pleasure of the food, of taking the food, to be given to Krishna first, right? And then after it's been offered, then we accept it. And it's called spiritual food, or prasad, right? And then just by eating it, you become enlightened, you become purified. That's the power of the experience. So that's karma yoga. Karma means you have to cook, you have to eat, we all need to eat. But then offering it to Krishna becomes spiritual. So that's what this chapter is about. So Krishna has been speaking to Arjuna, and he's explaining to him how to make your activity spiritual. And then Arjuna asks a very interesting question. And that question is, I'll read the actual verse. He says, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Does everyone understand the question? In other words, basically what he's saying is, why is it sometimes we do something that we know we shouldn't do, but we do it anyway? Does anyone here know what I'm talking about tonight? Mm-hmm. Right? Has anyone ever done that?
No.
Okay, no, that's good. We have a very pure and enlightened lady at the back. Like that. But the rest of us, we may have done that once or twice. You did something, you knew you shouldn't have did it, but you did it anyway. So, you know, sometimes when you're doing that, your heart beats very quickly. You ever experienced that? You know, your heart palpitates?
Yep.
Right? That's Krishna, that's God himself who's in your heart, and he's telling you, you shouldn't be doing this. You know, but sometimes, even when that happens, you do it anyway. So Arjuna says, what makes us do that? Is that an interesting question? Would you like to know the answer?
Yeah.
Okay, one lady wants to know the answer, so for you, I will read the answer. All right. It says, Krishna says, it is lust only, O Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later is transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. Mm-hmm. So he says, Kama esha, krota esha, rajaguno samudbhava. Kam, this word kam means, it's translated as lust. But if we define it, it actually means misuse of independence. In other words, you do something which is just for your selfish satisfaction. Right? That's the definition of lust. Right? We're just doing something that's just for us. Right? It's just a selfish act, or something that we just do for our own pleasure. Can everyone move forward a little bit? Just move forward, just to make more room for people. Just so it's more. Come. So, it is considered to be lust. That is what impels us. Right? It is the nature of the soul to enjoy selfishly. What we teach here at Hare Krishna Valley is to not be selfish in your activities, but rather act for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of God. That's what we do here. Everything we do is dedicated to Krishna. We try not to act selfishly. We try not to do things just for ourselves. Just like when we cook, we never taste it first before we offer it to Krishna. We try to be selfless. You understand the concept? Yeah, so that's what we're talking about here. So he says to Arjuna, it is coming from lust, it is coming from this independent desire to do things for yourself. And lust is called kam esha, krota esha. Krota means, anyone know this word, krota? Krota?
Anger.
Anger. You ever get angry? No? Never get angry? That's good. If you never get angry, that's good. You never get angry?
No.
Really? Everyone gets angry. Anger is natural. Anger is natural. Right? It's a natural emotion. It's not even a bad emotion. It has to be used at the right time in the right place. Sometimes it's necessary. Anger is a good thing. It's a tool. It's like you pick up a tool out of the toolbox, you use it, and you put it back. That's it. Anger is good sometimes. Right? Someone's doing something wrong, you say, hey, stop. Right? You can become angry, and then that's it. You let it go. Right? So where does anger come from? This is an interesting point. It's called kamanuj. When your desires are frustrated or you don't get what you want, you become angry. So that's where it's coming from. So it says, anger always follows lust or selfish desires. And when you don't get what you want, then you get angry. So sometimes people come to us and they say, we need some anger management advice. So we say to them, if you want to control your anger, you have to change your desires. Because if your desires are selfish, you're always going to get angry. But if your desires are selfless, then you won't get angry. So you have to change your consciousness. That's what we teach here, Krishna consciousness, raising consciousness to a higher level. And then Krishna says, Rajaguno Samudbhava. Rajagun means passion. There are three forces which govern this world, called goodness, passion, and ignorance, or sattva, rajas, and tamas. Have you heard of these? You might have heard, some people have heard, yeah. Sattva means goodness, peacefulness. There's an energy in the world. These three energies are acting on all of us all the time. You have to align yourself with sattva, or peacefulness, goodness. Bring yourself up to a higher vibration so that you're naturally peaceful. Like someone was saying to me yesterday, something about this, and I was explaining, that's right, they said, before you do something, you should just sit for a minute and just be mindful about what you're doing. And I said to them, well, I actually don't have time to do that. Because like on Friday we're getting ready for the retreat. There were people coming for the retreat. And I started about 9 in the morning, I didn't finish till 9 at night. There just wasn't a break because so I couldn't sit there for a couple of minutes every time I did something and just go, I've got to be really mindful, man. I've got to be really peaceful now while I'm doing this. And all the intent, I haven't got time for that. So I explained to them what I do is I wake up in the morning and I put myself as much as I can into the right frame of consciousness to begin the day through my meditation and everything. So then when I'm doing the rest of the day, I'm in the right state of consciousness. Then I don't have to stop and be mindful every time, I pick up a hammer. I've got to mindfully pick this hammer up. And I've just got to knock the nails peacefully into the wood. And then I'll put it down. No, I haven't got time for that. So I just get myself into the right state of consciousness as much as I can. So this is called goodness, sattva. This is what we should align ourselves with. The second energy is called rajas. Rajas means passion. And it's basically what the world is consumed by at the moment. Everyone's passionate. Everyone's just working, doing more and just achieving more. But what for? What's it for at the end of the day? Right? People say, I'm working hard. Why are you working hard? So one day I can just rest and retire and enjoy it. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? When you're 66, right, and you've got no energy left, now you can enjoy your life. Now, for God's sake, your life just is almost finished. So this is it's like the fallacy of modern society, where everyone's being tricked into this thing, just work harder and do more and do more. It's passion. We just need to achieve more. Like that. But what is the point of it all? So we need to be balanced in our application of passion. Passion's good. You have to be active, but it has to be balanced. It can't consume your life or your consciousness. Right? We don't have to work, but just work in moderation as much as you can. The problem is they've set up the workforce, the modern workforce, for everyone to work ridiculous hours. Right? It's not natural, actually. 9 till 3 is enough. All right? Tell your boss on Monday, tomorrow, you went to the Hare Krishna farm, and the Hare Krishna monk guy said, we'll work at 9 or 3 from now on. And if he's got a problem, he can come here and speak to us. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
TK. Okay. See how it goes and let me know. All right? I have a lot of bosses turning up here on Tuesdays. It's actually a problem, actually. Too many of them are coming now to see me on Tuesdays. But this is actually, why do we have to work so much? People are actually more productive between 9 and 3. Right, than 9 to 5. You'll actually do more, but everyone's got this mentality, if we just try to extricate as much as we can out of people, we'll get more done and be passionate, we'll make more money. Everything's about money. Every time you hear an election comes, everyone just talks about the economy. When do you hear people talking about, who's the Albanese, right? He's the latest guy. When do you hear him get up and say, yeah, I think all the Australians should do 2 hours of meditation every day, work from 9 to 3. You don't hear him saying that. Just like we've got to drive the economy, we need a better economy. If we have more money, we'll be more happy, right? So if that's true, how come society's unhappy? Huh? How come, mental health is on the rise? Right? It's the number 1 disease on the planet now is mental health. People are stressed, anxious, depressed, so many things are there. So this is Rajagun, passion. Passion's good, but it has to be moderated. And then the third mode that works on us, we have sattva, which means peacefulness. We have passion, which means activity. And then we have tamas. Tamas literally means darkness. It's the mode that we get into when we get exhausted. When we go to sleep, that's tamas, that's darkness. When you're asleep, you don't even know what's going on. Like I woke up, I just got back from overseas at the beginning of the week. So I woke up yesterday morning and I thought I was still overseas. I woke up and I thought, oh, it's raining overseas. Well, that's strange, it wasn't raining yesterday. And then I realized, oh no, I'm in Bambara. Of course it's raining, right? It's middle of winter in Bambara, so it's raining. So this is tamas. Tamas means darkness. Tamas can even be used because we have to regenerate ourselves. We have to sleep well so we can be refreshed. So tamas is a good thing as well, but not too much. And you see the modern world, because people are going too hard and fast, they degenerate into darkness, and then everyone becomes lazy, or everyone becomes exhausted, or everyone just sleeps too much. They procrastinate, they become late, all these qualities. So we want to steer away from that as well. So Krishna recommends here in the Bhagavad Gita that we should situate ourselves more in goodness. And when you live more in goodness, then your life will be more sustainable. And it'll be easy to practice spiritual practices as well. If you're too overly active, it's hard to meditate. If you're too lazy, it's hard to meditate as well. So you have to be in the right balance of sattva. So these are some of the lessons that we're taking from Krishna at this point. So what I'll do, I'll stop here. I'll see if there's any questions or any comments on anything we've discussed, or anything you just want to know about what we do, or our philosophy, or our lifestyle, or the meaning of life, or the universe and everything. This is what we specialize in. So if you'd like to ask us anything, you can ask.
How did you come to live this way?
How did I come to follow this spiritual path? Yeah. Can I just have a drink? Is that okay? Just give me a second. Oh man. I was a bit thirsty after playing the drum, so it doesn't. So how did I take to this path? Everyone has their individual story, their journey, like that. I grew up in Melbourne with my brother, who's just here, and we lived in Eltham, which is a very nice place to live, and we had a very nice upbringing. I thought it was nice. It was quite good. We had nice upbringing and everything. We lost a brother. One of our other brothers passed away when I was 15. And I think when that happened, then an inner voice awoke within me. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch, I was telling everyone last night, I used to watch Kung Fu on Do you know Kung Fu? The old one?
Not well.
Yeah, but you know, and you know there's a part of the show where he's Grasshopper. You know, when he's a kid, do you remember that show? Yeah, Kung Fu. You know, he's you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, he's a young monk in the ashram, in the monastery, and they call him Grasshopper, like that. So I used to watch that, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Grasshopper. So I used to watch that when I was 5 years old, and I was thinking, oh, that's me. You know, a shaved head, living in a monastery in an ashram, and like, you know, doing spiritual things and studying under a guru and all those things. So it was kind of in me, and I believe that's from a previous life, that I must have been practicing like a spiritual path. So then, you know, when my brother passed away, and then I had some relationship breakups and different things, by the time I was 18, I felt like I'd been through everything. I thought like, you know, I kind of experienced everything there is to experience. You know, I've been through the difficult things in this world and the challenges, and I felt like I needed answers. Like, you know, what's the purpose of all of this? You know, do I just go out and get a career and just work in the world and, you know, buy a house and get a white picket fence and have 3 kids called Huey, Dewey and Louie, and, you know, get a boat and a jacuzzi, you know, and just like, is that the point of life? So I thought there has to be more. So then I was reading Eastern philosophy. I went to church a few times, but then I felt like for me the answers I was given by the priest and the teachings, I didn't feel like it was deep enough for me, or it wasn't like answering my questions. So then I began to read Eastern things, different Eastern texts, Buddhism and Baha'i and different things, and then I read the Bhagavad Gita, which is this book. And then I felt when I read it, it was like the insights which I knew were there, but I couldn't articulate. They were like on the pages. So I just felt like it was all being said for me. So then I went down and I joined the monastery. I joined the ashram in Melbourne. And I lived as a monk for 8 years. And I travelled to India every year and studied under my guru and lived that kind of life. And then when I was 27, 28, I got married for the first time to my first wife. I'm now remarried. And then I began to run ashrams around Australia. And then I ended up here 15 years ago. Now I run this ashram. That's my basic. Is that kind of what you...
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Like that. So everyone's got their different way that they kind of came to it. But most people, they come to spiritual life because of suffering. You know, when things aren't working, that's when you turn and you need answers. Generally, when things are going well for people, people don't think about higher things. They don't contemplate, oh, what's the meaning of it all? Because they think, oh, it's all great, you know, just keep going. But when you meet challenges, then sometimes you need answers, and you need, you know, why is this happening? So when I began to read these teachings, I began to feel that, you know, I was getting the answers for what's going on, and then I dedicated my life. And then, to be honest, I thought when I began this journey when I was 19, I thought I'd just be a monk for 2 years, like as a training period in my life, and then I'd go out, and then I never left. I just kept doing it. And now it's my vocation. Like, I feel comfortable, you know, being a spiritual teacher. That's what I do. Like that. Good question. Like that. Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
How there's the deity form up there.
Yep.
And how he relates to Lord Krishna.
Yeah. Okay. So we're called the Hare Krishna movement. People always call us the Hare Krishnas. Actually, our traditional name is Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But most people have got no idea what that means. Hands up if you know what that means. Gaudiya Vaishnava. One person. Like that. So 2 people. Gaudiya Vaishnava. That's actually our technical name. So a Vaishnava, which is what we are, a tradition we follow, means we see God or Krishna, the Supreme, as a person. Many people these days, they see the Supreme as just energy or light. You know, people quite often say this to me. They send me emails, they say, with love and light. You know, which is nice. It's a nice way, you know, light, energy. But if the Supreme is just energy or just light, you can't relate to an energy or a light. How do you have a relationship with energy or light? You can merge into energy and light. You can be one with energy and light. You can feel peace within energy and light. But there's no relationship. And everything in the world is based on relationships. That's what we pursue continuously. We're always pursuing relationships. Right? Where do we get our main satisfaction in life from? Relationships. Exchanges of love. So a Vaishnava means a spiritualist who sees the Supreme as a person. Just like we're all people. Hands up if you're a person. Okay, I've got about 98%. That's good. Oh, 90, 99. That's good. All right. There's always someone in the audience who's not a person. They're just energy and light. They're just cosmic oneness. Like that. So that's good. That's good if you see it like that. That's good. But I'd rather be a person. What's the advantage of being a person? And if the Supreme is a person, if God's a person, you can have a relationship. You can exchange love. Right? What's the best feeling in the world? The best feeling in the world is when someone loves you. Is that the best feeling in the world or not? Anyone disagree? You can if you want. If you disagree, tell me. Is that the best feeling in the world? Someone loves you? Yeah. What's even a better feeling? When you love someone else. That's the best feeling. That's the highest feeling. Right? So we're Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but they call us Hare Krishnas. So, in our theology, in our tradition, God is a blue cowherd boy. You see in the pictures on the back. Right? You see all the pictures, there's a blue cowherd boy. That's how we understand God. Right? Now, I just got back from Rome. I was in Italy last week. Spent a couple of weeks on vacation. And we went to the Vatican, we went to Sistine Chapel, these places. So all over, when you go, I mean, the churches are amazing. It's like incredible. You know, the artistry. Michelangelo and all the different, the artists there. But they always depict God as an elderly white man with long white hair and flowing robes, which is cool. I mean, that's their visualization, their speculation. That's what they... Michelangelo, obviously, he meditated. He thought that's what God looks like. He's old. Why is he old? Because he's wise. Long flowing white hair, because he's the origin of everything. He was there in the beginning. And he's very powerful, and he's wearing white robes, and he's reaching out to humanity in the famous pictures in the Sistine Chapel and so forth. However, in our tradition, which is older, coming from ancient India, it says God's actually a youth. He never goes past 16. Right? Why get old if you don't have to? Do you think God would be old if he... No, he's God. He doesn't have to be old. He can choose his age. What age do you want to be? He chose 16. Why 16? 16, you're kind of an adult, but you're not. It's almost the perfect age. All right? You're still innocent. You're still childlike. You're still playful, but you're becoming responsible. All right? So you're kind of aware of things, your sexuality, your hormones, all those things. But still, it's a perfect age. So he keeps himself at that age, and he's young, and he's colourful, and he's a character, and he likes to dance. He likes to play flutes and tend his cows. He likes to feed peacocks. That's the way we meditate on him. That's the way he's depicted. And he's blue. And people quite often ask, why is he blue? Now, is anyone wondering why he's blue? Oh yeah, someone is. Okay. So why is he blue? Because when you go outside and the sky is blue, how does it make you feel? Good. Yeah, happy. Right? You see, when the sky is blue, everyone's mood is different. If you live in countries where you don't see the blue sky much, you see the people are quite different. They're quite closed. If you go to certain Scandinavian countries and so forth, people are closed by disposition. And if you go out to the islands, you go to Fiji, you go to Hawaii, you go to Bali, you go to all these places where it's blue most of the time. People are very different. It has a big effect on the psychology. So why is it blue? Because that's the colour of bliss or happiness. So he has that bluish disposition. And when you meet him, you can ask him why if you want. You can say, why are you blue? And send me an email and tell me what he says. No, but that's how I understand he's blissful. So it's like the colour of bliss, like he's very happy. So, you see in the picture at the back in the middle, he's with Radha. Now Radha is his best friend. She's his Shakti, his energy. His female counterpart, she's the supreme goddess. And when we say Hare Krishna, we're called the Hare Krishnas, then Hare represents Radha, the feminine aspect, and Krishna represents the male aspect of God. Yeah, the supreme energy, energetic and the supreme energy. So up here on the picture we have here is that 500 years ago, Krishna appeared according to our tradition 5,000 years ago. God himself came to earth 5,000 years ago. Like I was just in Rome, and the Colosseum's about 2,000 years old, which is impressive. Right, it's still standing. The Aurelian wall, which used to surround Rome, it's 2,000 years old, it's still there. Made of bricks. 2,000, imagine, build something that lasts 2,000 years. Anyone in this room build something that's going to last 2,000 years, that's impressive. Right? So they build things that, so for me it's like a pathway back further, because we understand in our tradition goes back 5,000 years. So it says that Krishna, we can go to these places, I can take you to these places in India, where God himself, it is said, actually came to earth and walked amongst people 5,000 years ago in a place called Vrindavan, which is in India, a very holy place, which hopefully I'll go there in November for a pilgrimage. And then anyone who wants to come, let me know very soon, because I'm organising it now. Right. So if you want to come, let us know. So Krishna himself, when he's with Radha, his closest friend, then even though he's God, and he must be the happiest person by definition, because he's God. I mean, who can be happier than him? He's the controller of everything. He can have whatever he wants, whenever he wants, whenever he wants. So he's God. It's kind of what we all want to be. Yeah, we want to be God. Right? We want to go anywhere we want, whenever we want, and everything's free. Is that basically what you want? I mean, if you meditate on it, it is. When everyone's smiling. So I mean, imagine you just walk into any shop, wherever you want, anywhere in the world, and you can just take whatever you want, anytime you want. Right? That's the freedom he has, because he is the supreme creator. But he finds, even though he's the source of everything, and he's the happiest person, she is happier than him. Why is she happier than him? Because she serves him. She loves him. And when you give, you get even more happiness than the receiver. The giver gets more than the receiver. So then he becomes a little mystified. He thinks, well, I set all of this up. I created everything. And yet her happiness surpasses me. So then he thinks, let me incarnate again, but next time I come, I'll take her mood and the colour of her complexion, which is golden, and I'll appear again. So that's the picture we have up here, is Lord Chaitanya. So 500 years ago, we believe in the Hare Krishna movement that God himself appeared again in Bengal, in India, and he lived amongst humans, and he was in a golden complexion, and he was in the mood of being the servant of God. He never said to people, I am God, even though we see him as that. But he said, I am the servant of God, and he taught us the perfect process of how to approach Krishna, approach God. So he was the one who began the chanting of Hare Krishna, popularized it all over India. And now 500 years later, all over the world people are chanting Hare Krishna. So he started that 500 years ago. And he taught this is the Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma means the way that you'll become self-realized and purified in this age is by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So it's very simple. We were chanting before, but you're actually becoming self-realized, purified, and spiritually enlightened just by chanting. It's a very powerful process. It actually sounds too simple. No? So, and that's realistic. I mean, some people think, well, that sounds too simple, but you can try it if you like. And if it works, then you might become enlightened. And then if it doesn't work, then you didn't lose anything. At least you're peaceful. Something good came with the whole thing. So, he appeared 500 years ago in the Kali Yuga. This Yuga we're in, or the time period we're in, is called the Kali Yuga. People from India will probably be familiar. Do you know this term? Have you heard of this, Kali Yuga?
Yes.
Does anyone know what it means, Kali Yuga?
It's like there's a demon who like goes with jealousy and ego.
Yeah.
And he like tries to get into people and give them jealousy and ego.
Yeah. Technically, that person is called the Papurush. It's similar to what you're saying, but it's a little more technical. But yeah, but you're on the right track. So this Kali, this person, or this age we're in, is called, Kali literally means black. Kali means dark. We're in a dark age. It's a dark age. There were more enlightened ages before this. In the modern, not on the altar, don't go on the altar, bring it back. In the modern age, people think that humanity is evolving, like we're improving, we're becoming more involved and more advanced. But actually, according to the ancient traditions, we're actually devolving. There was more advanced civilizations on the earth previously, where people were more enlightened. We're actually going down. This is called Kali Yuga. It means the dark age, which is progressing. So people often say, well, you know, I don't feel very good that I'm born in the dark age. Why do I have to be born in the dark age? The dark age is actually the best age according to the ancient teachings, because it's so simple. You can become enlightened just by chanting Hare Krishna, just by eating prasadam or spiritual food, just by reading a little bit of spiritual text, Bhagavad Gita and so forth. You can become fully enlightened very quickly and go back to Goloka, back to the spiritual world, and live there happily ever after, forever and ever. Sound okay? Sounds too good to be true, right? Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm using my life, my time here on this planet, to follow this process, these teachings that Lord Chaitanya gave us, to become enlightened here on earth, and then to take as many people as we can back with us. So, does that answer your? Do you want to add anything to?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That was a good question. Thank you for steering the conversation in that direction. That's good. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
We talk about chanting,
Hmm.
but normally when we chant, we talked about the connections as well earlier with Krishna. Now when we chant, there is always, we chant out of the mouth, but again, we are not thinking anything. We may be thinking some other things, your job, you're just chanting out of the mouth, but we are not meditating or anything like that. Is that really good?
So what's the question?
So, if I chant, you're talking about if you chant, you may get a positive aspect of that, but again...
Yeah, but then you have to learn to control your mind. You have to learn to control your mind. It's like with any type of meditation, you've got to control your mind. Like you just said, you might be chanting, but then, your mind's thinking of your work and all these things. You've got to learn to control it. Actually, in chapter 6, which is a little bit further in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks this question to Krishna. He says, how do I control my mind? Because he said, my mind is like the raging wind. Does anyone feel like that? Their mind is like the raging wind? Really? Anyone feel like that? Oh, God. Now I'm a bit scared. Well, there's minds like the raging wind. With it. Yeah, the mind sometimes is like that. Right? Raging wind means it's hard to control. Like, just tell your mind, sit here and behave and do what I say. As soon as you say it, the mind says, no, I'm going to go over and do this, do that. So that's what it's like when you begin to meditate. Some people say, well, meditation's harder. You try to, control your mind just goes everywhere. It's very difficult to control your mind. So then Arjuna says to Krishna in chapter 6, he says, how do I control my mind? Because it's very difficult. And Krishna says two things. He said, abhyas and vairagya. These two things you need to control the mind. Abhyas means practice. You got to practice. Right? Practice. Your mind goes off, you bring it back. Say, hey, we're just doing this for a couple of hours or 10 minutes or whatever it is. Cooperate. Right? And your mind goes off again and say, hey, what are you doing? It's supposed to be over here. The best way to control your mind while you're chanting is you have to make your chanting pleasurable. Because where does the mind go? Where does the mind gravitate towards? Pleasure. You look, every thought you have, it ends up pleasure. Every thought. You know, you follow your train of thoughts. You know, sometimes you catch yourself doing that, you're thinking of something. 10 minutes later, you're thinking of something completely different. Then you trace back, how did you get there? And your mind just went, whoa, 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 and then pleasure at the end. So the mind's looking for pleasure. So you have to make the chanting pleasurable. The question is the chanting pleasurable? Just like before, we're all chanting together. That's why we do meditation on our beads, right? That kind of chanting. That's more difficult because it's just you and your mind. But like when we chant together like we're doing before, it's easier. That's why we do it together, right? Because then everyone, you don't have to worry about the mind. No one's thinking about the mind, right? Some of the new people might have been thinking about their mind. They might have been thinking, oh, you know, should I dance? Would other people be looking at me, you know, when I'm dancing? And like, you know, there's the mind thinking. But, you know, when you do it regularly, you get over that and then you just, you know, enjoy yourself. So you have to make the mind your friend, and you have to make the activity pleasurable. And when you get a taste for the chanting, which is called nama ruchi, you know, when you actually have a taste or a pleasure in chanting the names of Krishna or of God, it's actually the most pleasurable activity. So like when I go to India, sometimes we do meditation retreats. Sometimes we chant for 6 or 8 hours a day or more, right? And when your mind gets into it, it's the most pleasurable activity because you feel very close to Krishna, very close to God. So you have to train your mind. That's called abhyas or practice. The second thing is called vairagya. Vairagya means detachment. Don't take your mind so seriously. Why are you taking your mind so seriously? Most of your thoughts are garbage. Most of your thoughts are garbage. I'm not speaking about you. I'm just saying. I'm looking at you, but you know, most of our thoughts are garbage, right? Most of them. And half the stuff you think about, it's just, what does it even matter? You know, you're like, oh, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. It's like, oh, it doesn't really matter, right? So vairagya means detach yourself from material thoughts and bring it across to spiritual thoughts. You have to learn to do that. So it's a practice. It just takes time.
So can I ask,
Yes, madam.
if someone is just starting,
Yeah.
how do they start to bring their mind? Like, what are they thinking the very first time they say, come from here, go home and think, I'm going to chant, I've got the words, but what do they think? How do they start that spiritual thing that they have to then train their mind to do?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, the Prabhupada, who's the founder of our movement, our guru, he said, just hear the mantra. Just hear the sound of the mantra. Because the mantra is the names of Krishna, of God. So just by hearing it, you'll become purified. So don't overcomplicate, don't worry about what you have to think about so much, but just hear and settle your mind into the mantra. Secondly, what's very beneficial, actually, there's a couple of instructions are given. One instruction is actually given, sit in front of a sign like that with the words and actually meditate on the words while you're doing it to help, you know, bring your mind into the sound vibration. And then further, which, you know, sometimes we do, is like pictures like that where Krishna's there. Hare means Radha, who's on our left, Krishna's female counterpart, and then Krishna himself, God himself. When you have a picture like that and you're chanting and you're meditating, this is the person I'm meditating upon, it helps to bring the mind towards Krishna and personalize the relationship. So just like, you know, my brother Christian, who's just sitting there. So if he's somewhere else, and then I say in my mind, or in my voice, I say Christian, as soon as I close my eyes, I can see his form, you know, because you're familiar with the person. So from the name comes the form. So when we chant the name, then we can meditate on the form of Krishna. And then the qualities. So when you chant someone's name, then you think, oh, I remember the qualities, what they're like. So by reading Krishna book and things like that, you can learn about the qualities of Krishna. And then finally the pastimes. So the pastimes means the activities. What did he do when he came to earth 5,000 years ago? You can read about that. Right? You can meditate, and then while you chant, you can even meditate on those things. So that's just some beginning instructions. Good question. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So how do you describe the karma according to the Bhagavad Gita?
Karma means activity.
Yes. So people are obsessed with a good karma and bad karma. Like somebody, people said, I'm doing the right thing, other one not. You are doing the bad, I'm doing good. So how you describe and make a difference between the good karma and bad karma?
Yeah, there's 3 types of karma. There's good karma, which is called karma. The word karma means good karma. It means you do nice things for people. You know, that's good karma. Then there's bad karma, that's called vikarma. Vikarma means bad things, things you should not do. That's bad karma. But we're not interested in good karma or bad karma. We're interested in akarma. Akarma means spiritual activities. Just like now, I could be speaking to you about anything, but I'm speaking to you about spiritual topics to help enlighten you. Right? So this is akarma, which literally means no karma. It means I'm not, by what I'm doing now, I'm not creating more karma. So I have to be born again in this world to receive the reactions of that karma. You understand? So what we're interested in, what the Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita is akarma, or spiritual service or devotional service. That's more important. Don't worry about good and bad things, just do spiritual things. And you'll be happy.
Good enough?
Yeah, it works. Any other question? Everyone satisfied? Have you attained enlightenment? Hands up if you've attained enlightenment. No one? Okay, so we need to sit here for another 4 hours. Okay, so everyone close your eyes and we'll sit here for another 4 hours. Everything will be blissful and happy. No? Okay. You prefer to have lunch? No, no one wants lunch? Okay, we'll see you next time. It's a shame because we cooked a lot. But would anyone like something to eat? Yeah, it's spiritual food. Spiritual food offered to Krishna. So we'll have lunch. I think they're serving out. Yeah, so we're serving outside. So you just go out the door, turn right, go down. You can get your plate. You can get your lunch. And then we have a room here, a dining room at the end. So if it's too cold for you outside, feel welcome to sit inside. But I don't think it's cold outside. So if you want to sit out on the benches, it's up to you, wherever you feel comfortable. And then at 3 o'clock, in about 1 hour, then you can come with us over to see the cows if you'd like to see the sacred cows, the holy cows. We'll go and visit them after lunch. So thank you all for coming. Please come again. We have this open day once a month. If you subscribe to our newsletter and our website, we'll let you know when we're having these kind of activities and those kind of things. If you brought your tickets today, thank you for buying your tickets online. If you didn't buy your tickets, you can give a cash donation, just leave it in the donation box here. And after lunch, just wash your plates. Just outside the kitchen, we have some sinks there, you can just wash your plates, stack them nicely on the rack. And then, yeah, anyone who wants to come and visit the cows at 3 o'clock, you can come and visit us. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please come again.